Here's your first music question, Tom. Which English musician, a member of The Move, ELO and Wizard, wrote the song I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day? Noddy Holder, Jeff Lynne or Roy Wood?
I'm really not sure, to be honest. I haven't got a clue. Whenever I tend to not know a question, I tend to just go for the middle one. So I'm just going to have a wild guess and say the middle one, Jeff Lynne.
OK, Jeff Lynne, they certainly worked together at ELO, but it's not Jeff Lynne, it's Roy Wood. Roy Wood, so not Jeff Lynne, so a chance for CJ to take an early lead. CJ, the singer known as Sting was born near which English city, Bristol, Liverpool or Newcastle?
I'm just trying to think of his accent. It's not a Geordie accent, is it? So I don't think it's Newcastle. It sounds more West Country to me than Liverpool. I don't know, I'll try Bristol.
Oh, about 500-600 miles out?
Yeah.
Wrong. No, it is Newcastle.
Oh, is it? Oh, dear.
So, stays all square, nothing there, no damage done then, Tom. Tom, your second question. What's the title of the song particularly associated with Dean Martin that contains the line, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie? Is it That's Amore, Volare or Sway?
Well, the next line in that song, I think, is That's Amore. So, instinct says I'm going to go for that one. So I'm going to go for That's Amore.
Yeah, I had to be careful when I read the question there because that's the first option. It kind of just flowed naturally, didn't it? I had to put a pause in there, but you picked it out easily. Yes, That's Amore. Well done. CJ, George Gershwin's composition Rhapsody in Blue opens with a trill followed by a glissando on which instrument? Trumpet, clarinet or flute?
I think it's clarinet, but let me just have a quick mull. It's not trumpet. Yeah, it's a clarinet.
Yeah, well, hearing it in our brains now silently. Right answer, yes, clarinet. So, matching each other with a wrong answer on the first one and correct answers on your second questions. This one for you, Tom. Which influential American rock band who had considerable success in the 1970s was led by the partnership of Donald Fagen and Walter Becker? Jefferson Airplane, Boston or Steely Dan?
Still before my time. Again, I really haven't got a clue. I'm going to have to stick to my routine and go for the middle one if I don't know. So Boston, please.
OK, Boston, it's not. If only your guessing had been to the other side, to the right-hand side as we look at it. Steely Dan, it's that side of it again, Steely Dan. So, two unsuccessful guesses leave you on one, and CJ with a chance to take the round. CJ, Tim Burgess found fame as the lead singer with which British indie rock band who had their first UK chart single in 1990? James, The Charlatans or Suede?
Don't suppose a chance you can tell me what the title of that single was. It's not Suede. James are certainly an indie band. I mean, their big hit was Sit Down. Might have been about 1990, actually. Because I know it's not Suede, and I know nothing about the Charlatans. James, I think, fits the bill in terms of time and the description of the band. I will try James.
James. No, it's not. It is the Charlatans. The other one you thought but didn't pick out. So, low scoring on the first three questions, and they had multiple choice. I wonder how you're going to do now we're taking those choices away. Tom, it's sudden death. Sisters Esther and Vernie Bennett, along with Kelly Bryan and Louise Nerding, were the original lineup of which 1990s British R&B group?
Louise, if that is the Louise that's married to Jamie Redknapp, it will be Eternal. I'm going to go for Eternal.
Eternal?
Yeah.
Picking out Louise there. Yes, is the right answer. Well done. Eternal. Well done. CJ, which band recorded the original version of the song Everybody Hurts, which was re-recorded in 2010 to raise money for victims of the earthquake in Haiti?
That's R.E.M.
It is R.E.M., yes. OK, back to you, Tom. In which Andrew Lloyd Webber musical does the character Norma Desmond feature?
I'm sure my other teammates know, but I really can't think. My mind's gone completely blank. Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
That's a random guess.
Yeah, well, certainly a musical. CJ.
Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard. And Your question, CJ, who had a UK top 10 single in 1996 with Because You Loved Me from the soundtrack to the film Up Close and Personal?
I think the film is Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer, and I think that most of the tracks on that were sung by Celine Dion.
It's the correct answer, CJ. Celine Dion. Up Close and Personal there, the song Because You Loved Me. Well, bad luck, Tom. The way those fell, I mean, there was precious little contemporary stuff for you. 70s, 50s, musicals. Let's have Tom and CJ back here. Of course, CJ will be in the final round and you won't be, Tom. Could you both please come back and join your teams? Well, after a tight round there, CJ won through, so one brain from an Earth is enough. We'll be missing at least from the final round. Time to play our next head-to-head now, and this one's film and television. Who'd like to play this?
I'm going to take this one.
Yeah.
I think I'll take this one. Yeah. Let's open this one. Come on.
OK, Ray, you've got it. And who would you like to play from the Eggheads? It can't be CJ.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'll stick with Chris, I think. Yeah.
Let's have Ray and Chris into the question room then. So, Ray, do you want to go first or second?
I think I'll go second.
Putting Chris in then, and Chris, your first question then. The US TV series Glee is mainly set in what type of establishment? Hospital, school or restaurant?
This is really quite enjoyable if you watch it. You can quite get into it. It's set in a school.
School, it is, yes, of course, a school. Ray, which TV game show first broadcast in 1979 featured contestants trying to match their answers with those of 6 celebrities? Blankety Blank, Crosswits or Bullseye?
Right. I wish I'd gone first now. I think I'm going to go with Tom's idea of going down the middle. So I'm going to go with Crosswits.
It's Blankety Blank, the 6 celebrities, which I think was a kind of definition which was stretched at some points during the course of its run. Chris, who played Tom Chance, the title role in the 1980s comedy series Chance in a Million? Simon Callow, Simon Cadell or Simon Williams?
That was a rather strange series with Brenda Blethyn as his girlfriend. It was Simon Callow.
Simon Callow. Yeah, Simon Callow. Right answer, yes. So you do have a 2-0 lead and the pressure is immense on you right now, Ray. You must get this. Which film, released in 2010, stars Steve Carell and Tina Fey as married couple Phil and Claire Foster? The Perfect Game, Date Night or The Joneses?
OK, luckily, I have heard of this one, and it's not before my time. I'm going to go Date Night.
Date Night is correct, yes. Grabbed that and needed to, but will it be enough? Chris, what is the name of the baby voiced by Bruce Willis in the 1989 film Look Who's Talking? Is it Louie, Nicky or Mikey?
Never seen it, but a voice in my head is saying Mikey, so I'll go with Mikey.
Mikey. Bruce Willis covering himself in glory as the voice of the baby in Look Who's Talking, the baby called Mikey. It is correct, Chris, which means you've taken the round there. Nothing you could do about it, Ray, having got that first one wrong. Means you won't be in the final round. Would you both please come back and join your teams? Well, the way it's going so far, guys, you might have to change your team name to Sank Earth Enough. Lost 2 head-to-heads in a row. Let's stop the rot now with our next one. This is politics. And who'd like to play this?
Ooh, Ian.
Ooh, Ian.
Yeah,
go again.
I'll go.
Bad luck there, Tom. Can't play again. So, Ian, you're going to take it on. And which egghead would you like to play? Chris and CJ have played, so you have Daphne, Kevin or Judith?
Oh, what about Judith?
Judith.
Judith, OK. Let's have Ian and Judith into the question room now, please. So, Ian, do you want the first set of questions or the second set?
I'll go first.
First question then, Ian. For what does the letter M stand in the abbreviation MPC, the body responsible for setting UK interest rates? Is it monetary, markets or major?
Interest rates. I wouldn't have thought it had anything to do with markets or major, so I'll go for monetary.
Monetary is correct, yes. It is full name, Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of England, the MPC. Judith, based in the UK, the Bruges Group is a think tank which is concerned primarily with which subject? Europe, electoral reform or immigration?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. I don't think it's electoral reform. I think it's either Europe or immigration. I immediately thought Europe, as Bruges is in Europe, but I'm not sure I might not switch to immigration. Immigration.
Okay. Immigration for the Bruges group. Shouldn't have switched.
Oh.
It's Europe. Europe there. Well, this is looking better for enough is enough, and in particular for Ian. Can take a 2-0 lead here if you get this right. The Stavisky affair was a major political scandal in which country in the 1930s? Germany, Russia or France?
Stavisky. Well, you imagine it'll be with that name, it would be Russia, but no, I'll go for Russia.
Okay, Russia, major political scandal in the 1930s. It wasn't Russia, no. Do you know, Judith, of the other two?
I think it's France.
It is France, the Stavisky affair. The Stavisky affair in France. Judith now faces her second question. Judith, as they enter the House of Commons chamber, MPs traditionally touch which bit of the statues of Winston Churchill and David Lloyd George for luck? Feet, noses or elbows?
Well, it depends how high up they're placed. I don't think it would be their noses, because they would have to raise their hands, and it's slightly cheeky to touch their noses. I hope they're put high up on a plinth somewhere and they touch their feet.
OK, you've identified it, yes, probably to do with the height they're at. Feet is correct. Feet of Winston Churchill and David Lloyd George. So you've levelled it up, all square as we go into a third question each. Here you go, Ian. Signed in Mozambique in 2003, the Maputo Protocol was designed to guarantee the human rights of which section of African society? Is it children, women or the elderly?
I've got a feeling it's the elderly, so I'll go for elderly.
Elderly?
Yeah.
The Maputo Protocol is designed to guarantee the human rights of women in Africa. Women. So a chance now for Judith. Judith, which year's general election is sometimes referred to as the flapper election? 1923, 1929 or 1935?
Well, in the 20s, because that's when flappers were. I think 1929 would be something to do with depression. I think it's 1923, after the First World War.
Okay. 1923. Another eggheads. Why flapper? How did that term evolve? Do we know?
Originally, when women got the vote in 1918, they'd been 30 and over.
I see.
But in about 10 years later, 1928, I think it was changed, so women 21 and over could vote. So obviously the younger women, flappers, a lot of them. So 1929 election.
Okay. Yeah. The answer is 29, not 23.
Oh, really?
As Kevin's telling us, it was 1928 when the voting age for women was lowered to that younger section of society, as you mentioned there, from 30 to 21. But we still haven't. Why were they called flappers? We don't know.
Oh, I suppose it's just it sounds a frivolous kind of name, doesn't it, for the sort of dancing the Charleston and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, there. Look at that. All square still. And we go to sudden death again. Ian, which candidate in the 1976 US presidential election was memorably compared to Bozo the Clown?
What's his name? I've no idea really, I don't think, so I'll just say Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. No, not Ronald Reagan. Do you know, Judith?
Hubert Humphrey.
1976 US presidential election. Well, he was the president at the time, having taken over from Richard Nixon. He was Gerald Ford, the man they used to say couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. Judith, Robert Muldoon was the Prime Minister of which country from 1975 to 1984?
Well, it's either Australia or Canada. My first thought was Canada. Oh, dear. Bet it's wrong. Canada.
Wrong. It is wrong. And it wasn't Australia either, even if you had two goes.
Zealand.
New Zealand, yes, third go, yes, on that list. New Zealand, Robert Muldoon.
Not doing very well.
Ian. When Harold Macmillan sacked 7 cabinet ministers in the so-called Night of the Long Knives in 1962, which Liberal politician said, greater love has no man than this, that he lay down his friends for his life?
Oh, mine's gone blank now. There's not many Liberal politicians at the time. No, can't remember. Sorry.
Judith?
Jeremy Thorpe?
Jeremy Thorpe. Judith, what is the name of the Conservative MP for West Derbyshire between 1979 and 1986 who left the House of Commons and went on to become a successful parliamentary sketch writer for the Times newspaper?
I think that's Matthew Paris.
It's the correct answer. Matthew Paris is correct, Judith. You've won. You're in the final round. No place for you, Ian, I'm afraid. Would you both please come back and join your teams?
Meet the